Hi, I'm Pastor Scott from Burnaby Christian Pentecostal Church. Our church has recently just started a new series called Moving Forward, Avoid Being Stuck, Achieve God's Best. And I thought it would be good to just do a short devotional version for something that we could put online and hopefully be an encouragement to you. What we're going to be doing is taking a look at some of the great heroes of our faith and how God helped them to move forward in their life, because oftentimes we get stuck. We get stuck spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and it might be things like bitterness, unforgiveness, fear, anxiety, maybe just a lack of motivation and a lack of vision for the future. Seems like we get stuck in a rut in life. And you know what? God has a great plan and purpose for us. But how do we move forward and get out of our mindset and our struggles of being stuck in a certain place? Because there's lots of things that can contribute to that problem. So we're going to look at how God helped our great heroes of the faith move forward, because even though they were mighty men and women of God, and yet they still had struggles, they still had challenges. And so I thought we'd start way back from the beginning with our great patriarch Abraham, the father of the nation of Israel. So let's take a look at Genesis chapter 12, and we're going to just read 9 verses here together. We're just doing a short devotional version of this, as we've been talking about it at our church in Burnaby. And this is what it says in chapter 12. Now the Lord had said to Abram, "Get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed." So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. Then Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the people whom they had acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. So they came to the land of Canaan. Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh, and the Canaanites were in the land. You see, there were people already living there. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your descendants I will give this land." And there he built an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. And he moved from there to the mountains east of Bethel, and he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. So Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. So we have to take a look at the importance of this. First of all, this is the Abrahamic Covenant, where God spoke to Abram, later changed his name to Abraham, and ultimately Abraham begot Isaac and then Jacob, and Jacob became Israel. And Israel, as we know, had 12 sons, became the 12 tribes of Israel, and became the Jewish race. And the Jewish race, of course, started back in Genesis, but this is where God chose to reveal to Abraham his plan, his purpose, that from Abraham there will be a great nation, the birth of the nation of Israel. And so we have to understand that Abraham was quite comfortable. So what I want to say is, first of all, number one, moving forward begins with believing God's plan. He had to have faith that even though he was blessed and things were going well, but God had a bigger plan, a better plan. And he needed to believe that this was truly the Lord speaking to him. The Lord originally spoke to Abram while he was living in Mesopotamia, which was ancient Babylon and Assyria. Now it's modern day Iraq and Syria. So Assyria became Syria. And these nations that we see now on the map have been around for many, many years. And God told him to move to this land of Canaan. It had been a heavy snow about a year ago, lots of snow in the Fraser Valley, and the snow plows, probably similar to where you live, they plow the main roads, but then those plows push all that heavy snow onto the edge, and you have to dig out of your driveways because it gets piled in front of your home or your business or your church. And in our case, we had a heavy amount of snow that was right in front of the church. And when I pulled into work, I saw that I'm going to have to get my speed up and push through this in order to get into the church parking lot. That part was successful. However, coming back out of the church parking lot, I was trying to get onto our road to get back home. So I didn't have the speed, the momentum. And as I tried to push onto the road, I got stuck in this thick, heavy, wet snow. No other staff were in the office that day. It was just me. And I remember thinking, how am I going to get out of this? And a couple of young guys walked up. They were young and strong. I figured, well, maybe they'll stop and help. But no, they just kept on walking. Finally, after several moments, what I think might have been a guardian angel in a pickup truck came along, saw that I was stuck, pulled along, got out of his truck with a shovel in hand, and the two of us were able to dig out, and he helped me get on my way. You see, you can get stuck in all kinds of ways. And Abraham was, in a sense, stuck in a comfortable place because he had livestock, he had a big family, they had servants, they had all kinds of things going for them, and yet God still had a better plan. So number 2, moving forward requires obedience. It's one thing to believe, and that's the first step, believe in God's plan, but now we have to obey God's plan. Lord, do you really have something beyond what I see? I remember years ago coming back from a missions trip to India, we stopped in Hong Kong at the Hong Kong International Airport. And it was one of the most beautiful airports I'd ever been in. They had art exhibits. They had wonderful places that you can eat. And from the big windows, you could see the skyline of Hong Kong. And I was taking photos, and we were enjoying this comfortable place. We had several hours as a layover there before we went back to Canada. And yet, if I would have stayed in that comfortable place, I wouldn't have been able to move forward to get back home to do the things that God has called me to do, of course. And sometimes you're stuck in comfortable places, your personal comfort zone. Well, I like what I'm doing now. I don't want to branch out and meet new people or do new things and try something different. But the Holy Spirit might be prompting you in your heart, as He's our comforter, our counselor, our guide, prompting you as a believer in Jesus Christ to do something different, to reach beyond your comfort zone. Maybe build a relationship with somebody who needs the Lord in their life. Maybe try a new ministry. Maybe do something different so that He can use you in a new and better way. So we have to move forward, and it requires obedience. And finally, number 3, moving forward requires courage in the Lord. You see, when Abram and his wife Sarah and their family, their possessions, they moved into the land of Canaan, yet the Canaanites were there. And they were steeped in pagan religion. They had some very wicked, evil practices. And I'm sure there were dangers. And I'm sure there was some nervousness that was taking place. And yet Abram relied on the strength and power of the Lord. I love what Deuteronomy 31:6 says. God says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you or forsake you." That's that powerful promise that we claim as believers, that we hold on to. He will never leave or forsake us. He goes with us. He fights our battles on our behalf. 2 Corinthians 12:9, the Apostle Paul said, "He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power," that's God's power, "is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me." You see, it's not on our own strength. When God tells us to go, He equips, He empowers. It is His strength working through us to accomplish the task that He has set before us. So whatever God's called you to do, I encourage you, believe and obey and take courage in the Lord, because He is working through you to accomplish something powerful for His honor, for His glory, and for the furtherance of His kingdom. I hope this has been an encouraging word to you today as we talk about moving forward. Avoid being stuck and achieve God's best for your life.